Look around the world and you'll find something strange. Over 1 billion people speak the same language. People from completely different countries, different cultures, and different histories. But somehow, one language connects them all. That language is English. And almost nobody knows the real story of how it got here. Because English is not clean or simple. It's a mess. A mix of at least 5 different languages smashed together over 1,500 years. And if you went back just 1,000 years and heard someone speaking English, you would not understand a single word. So how did this happen? Where did English actually come from? The story starts 6,000 years ago, not in England, not even close, on a massive open Greenland somewhere between modern-day Russia and Kazakhstan. A group of people lived and spoke a language. We have no recordings of it, no writing, nothing. But we do know it existed because you can still find it hiding inside languages spoken today all over the world. Linguists call it Proto-Indo-European, the root language, the great-grandmother of English, Spanish, Hindi, Russian, Greek, and hundreds more. The people who spoke it were nomadic. They moved constantly, and wherever they went, they carried their language with them. That is why the English word father, the Latin word pater, the Sanskrit word pitar, all sound similar. They're the same word, just aged 6,000 years in different places. Fast forward to 43 AD. Roman armies invade Britain. For nearly 400 years, Latin is a language of power, of law, of the cities. Then Rome collapses, the soldiers go home, and Britain is left wide open. 3 Germanic tribes cross the sea and move in. The Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes. They take over, and they push the original people to the edges, and their language takes root. That language is called Old English, and it sounds nothing like you're hearing right now. But the bones are still there. Words like earth, water, house, man, woman, sleep, and love, all Old English, and are still here today. Then, in the late 700s, the Vikings show up. Norse raiders from Scandinavia, they attack the coastlines, then come back and start settling. At one point, Vikings controlled a huge chunk of North and Eastern England, and their language, Old Norse, started mixing with Old English, 2 related languages colliding on the same island. The result? Hundreds of everyday words we still use today come directly from the Vikings. Sky, egg, knife, window, husband. The word they? All Viking. Every time you say they or them or their, you're using a word left behind by Norse settlers over 1,000 years ago. Then came 1066, the date that changed everything. William the Conqueror crossed from France, defeated the English king, and took the throne. Overnight, French became the language of power. The nobles spoke French. The court spoke French. The church spoke French. English became the language of farmers and peasants, the people at the bottom. And this created something fascinating that you can still see in English today. The farmer raises a cow. The noble eats beef. The farmer tends a pig. The noble eats pork. The farmer keeps a sheep. The noble eats mutton. Cow, pig, sheep, Old English, the words of the people doing the work. Beef, pork, mutton are French, the words of people eating the results. This pattern is everywhere in English. The simple word is usually Old English, the fancy version is usually French. Ask versus inquire. Start versus commence. Help versus assist. For 300 years, English and French lived inside the same country, and eventually both got absorbed. Neither one disappeared. English ended up with 2 versions of almost everything. By the 1300s, English was coming back as the main language everyone actually spoke. But it was not the same English as before. It had thousands of French words mixed in. It was something new. Then, in 1476, the printing press arrived in England, and everything started to lock in place. For the first time ever, written English could be copied and spread everywhere. Books, documents, pamphlets, all identical. But there was a problem. Different parts of England spelled and pronounced words completely different from each other. So which version got printed? London won. It was the capital, the center of everything, so London English became the standard. Then came Shakespeare. One writer in London at the exact right moment. He added thousands of words to English that we still use today. Bedroom, lonely, generous, gloomy, addiction. All Shakespeare. By the 1600s, England looked close to what we speak today. And the British Empire happened. Britain built the largest empire in history, and wherever British ships went, English went with them. India, Australia, Canada, the Caribbean, Africa, New Zealand, English was planted across the entire planet. But something interesting happened along the way. English did not just spread, it absorbed. Every place the empire touched gave English new words back. Shampoo from Hindi, jungle from Hindi, safari from Swahili, bungalow from Bengali, zombie from West African languages. The empire took a lot from the world, but it also accidentally collected hundreds of words and brought them back into English. Then came America. Britain planted English in North America in the 1600s, but American English quickly became its own thing, mixed with indigenous languages, with Spanish, with African languages brought by enslaved people, with words from every wave of immigrants that followed. Then in the 20th century, America became the most powerful country on earth. Hollywood, television, the internet. American English spread everywhere. Not through soldiers this time, but through screens and speakers. Today, a teenager in Tokyo, Lagos, Sao Paulo reaches for American English to sound current. Scientists publish in English. Pilots speak English in every country in the world. English won. Not because it's a good language. Honestly, it's a mess. The spelling makes no sense. The grammar has exceptions to every rule. But English just won because of power. The language of whoever is most powerful tends to spread. That is just how it's always worked. But here's the thing most people miss. English is not finished. It's still changing right now. Every generation adds new words. Selfie, ghosted, vibe, slay. Words that did not exist 20 years ago are now used by billions of people. Nigerian English, Indian English, Caribbean English, Singaporean English. These are not wrong versions of English. They are English doing what it's always done, absorbing new influences and evolving. No single country owns English anymore. It belongs to everyone who uses it. So how did humans create English? Well, they didn't. Not on purpose anyway. English was built by accident, by invasion, by migration, by empire, by culture, by millions of ordinary people over thousands of years borrowing words, mixing languages, and passing the whole messy thing down to their children. Proto-Indo-European became Old English. Old English mixed with the Vikings. Vikings mixed with English met French. French mixed English got printed and standardized, and Shakespeare stretched it. The empire spread it, and America amplified it. And now, here you are, using it. The words you're thinking in right now are ancient. Parts are Viking, parts are French. Parts were invented by one writer in London 400 years ago. You did not just inherit a language. You inherited 6,000 years of human movement and collision packed into every sentence you speak. Right now, somewhere in the world, English is changing again. And nobody's in charge of it. Nobody is deciding what is correct. Nobody is voting on what stays and what goes. It just happens. The same way it always has. A word starts as slang, people will mock it, then they'll use it, then forget they ever thought it was strange. That's exactly how French words snuck into Old English, and that's exactly how Viking words replaced perfectly good Anglo-Saxon ones. The people living through it probably complained about it too. There's no academy, there's no committee, there's no official English in the way French has one. English has always been wild and too widespread to control, and that messiness is why it actually survived. Languages that stayed pure, that stayed isolated, that refused outside influence, most of those languages are gone, going, or spoken by so few people that they barely even register. English survived because it was greedy. It took words from everyone it met and never gave them back. So the next time someone tells you that language is getting worse, that people don't speak properly anymore, that the young generation is ruining English, remember, people have been saying that for 1,000 years. And every single time, the language just kept growing. If you want more videos like this, subscribe now. There's a lot more interesting facts about being a human.